River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan here along with Eric. Eric, say hello. How we doing?
Doing, it's not a victory Monday, Dan.
No, it's not. Could be better, and we have quite a few thoughts on the game once we get to it. I don't know. Not all bad, but definitely some bad that needs to be addressed right away. But before we get to that, as is our new tradition, we are going to quickly recap what all happened during week 5, minus the Saints game that's kicking off in an hour. So with that,
We should do that game and just like make up a recap for it and just see how close we got.
oh, I can do that right now. The refs gave the game to the Saints, and the Saints played way above their weight class. Here we go. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. The Chiefs were circling that they could just sleepwalk this week, and they still ended up winning, even though it was only by like 3.
That's fair.
So with that, let us get going with Thursday night football. The Bucks at the Falcons. Did the NFC South finally pull itself out of the football gutter? These last 2 Falcons games have been must-see TV, and I am starting to change my tune on them. As much as my heart also breaks for Baker and the Bucks, I'm still rooting for you, buddy.
I can't really believe in either of these teams quite yet. I'm not sold on either of them yet. I'm not sure that they're not both just like above average and then they're not really ready to punch above their weight class yet, but they're both pretty good, I think. And I'm interested to see how they shake out for the rest of the season. NFC South, going to be fun to watch.
Could not agree more. And for everybody, these are kind of going to be rapid fire since obviously we're a Niners podcast. And so you'll notice mine aren't exactly that analytical, so to say. Not to put words in your mouth, but on to Jets and Vikings in jolly old London. The Vikings are for real. That is directly at you. The Vikings are for real. And despite the Jets' best efforts, the Jets just feel like they're stuck in gear with this being their acclimation year to Rodgers joining the team instead of last year. They got pieces, but this is just not clicking yet, and the Vikings are. So congrats on being 5-0.
I don't know if beating the Jets makes you real. The Jets aren't good. I think we've established that now over these first 5 weeks. The Jets beat the Patriots and somebody else that sucked. And then they've lost to a bunch of other teams that, weren't even good, like the Broncos. So Aaron Rodgers is clearly not Aaron Rodgers of a few years ago. He's not making that big of a difference. And I think all those MVP bets and bets that the Jets were going to go deep into the playoffs are going to fail here before long.
I agree there. I agree. On to the Panthers at the Bears. Already laughing. Well. Who ended up winning that Bryce trade after all? This had to feel good for the Windy City. It's probably going to end up being their consolation prize for even getting to the playoffs still, but they need to savor this one. They did a solid beatdown on the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm very surprised by the Bears so far this season. I definitely, as much hate as you've heard me have on this podcast have for the Bears, certainly would have not figured them to be 3-2 so far this season. I don't think they're a contender in the NFC or even really probably in their division, just given that the rest of their division is also really very good. But they might fall in line kind of with those teams we were talking about earlier, the Falcons and the Buccaneers. They might be pretty good average teams and capable of beating other teams that really suck, like the Panthers.
If Caleb keeps getting better as he has been the last 2 weeks, they could. But as I said, this might have to be their consolation prize this year, but we still got a long way to go. So, on to the Ravens at the Bengals. Oh, dude, this was as thrilling as every interdivision game. You pray for every interdivision game to go as thrilling as this one was. Uh, there's going to be brighter days ahead, Joe. You guys fought tooth and nail. Just someone had to win in overtime, and Lamar's going to choke when it matters. So, yeah, just it was a great, great game, and I feel bad for Joe.
Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned it a couple of times here on the podcast that something has sort of poisoned the well down in Cincinnati, and it seems to me that that's what's continuing to go on this season. I mean, they're just not having any sort of luck at all at this point in time. This bad loss here to the Ravens, not in the score department, but just in the magnitude of it, and with what they did on offense, and then the big loss to the Commanders a couple of weeks ago. Again, put up a bunch of points, still can't pull out the victory. They're just not able to put it all together this year, and I think this team is really trending in the wrong direction, and probably going to end up having this kind of a frustrating 6 or 7 win season. You're on mute.
If they miss the playoffs, which at 1-4, I mean, yeah, it's never say never, but this will be one of those pivotal, like, we would have had a chance if we won this game, and they gave it their all, and just Lady Luck didn't fall their way this time, and it sucks. But I saw glimpses of what this team could be, because when you usually score 38 points, you win. So brighter days will be ahead, Joe. Like, it looks like things might start turning around, even if you barely miss the playoffs. So on to Dolphins Patriots. Oh, much like the Browns and the Raiders last week, this game gets my someone had to win award. 15-10 as the final score says all you need to know about this slog. No offense need apply. Just try to survive. And I feel bad for my unofficial Patriots correspondent for the show. This game was terrible.
Yeah, I unfortunately was watching part of this game just because I was watching the 4-game multi-view, and there were a number of times where this was the only one that only had any action going on. And by action, I mean there were 2 teams on a field, even though they weren't doing anything. The Patriots are just terrible. So, I mean, if you want to make money this season, put the Patriots in some sort of a parlay, betting everything you can against them, and you're going to make money this season. That team is just absolutely dreadful because that Dolphins team is not any good without Tua either, and they somehow managed to pull out a victory.
I have a note about another team winning ugly, and I don't think that matters this much for the Dolphins. I don't know if they can salvage their season, even if Tua comes back the way they look. And then the Patriots, they're not going to suck for Sanders, which just, I don't know. We'll have to see how their long-term plans play out as we keep going. So, Browns at the Commanders. Daniels may not have faced a real challenge, air quote, as of yet. But again, the way this man handles bad teams is why I can't wait for them to face the Ravens next week. And just, I have no notes for the Browns. They suck, and they deserve it for selling their soul for Watson.
And I have no notes for the Browns. Couldn't be more excited for the Commanders and Ravens game next weekend. I will have my children, so I probably won't get to see it, unfortunately. So there's that. The Browns team is really bad. This is one of the times again that I got to watch them, and they're atrocious. Their offensive line can't block anybody. Watson is going to get a lot of crap and a lot of hate, and he's bad, but he's not getting any time to throw the ball either. The offensive line is just like letting people on him immediately. And then the rest of the team doesn't look like they want to be there. Their body language is terrible. This team is gross.
The Amari Cooper trade rumors are not going to be going away for the next month, and you've all but confirmed that with the body language comment there.
Yeah, he'll be gone before the trade deadline. If they're 1 so what would that be? Week 8 is trade deadline now.
So they'll be 1-7 or 1-6.
Yeah, they'll be 1-7, 2-6. If they're 1-7, 2-6, he'll be gone, guaranteed.
Oh, 100%.
Guaranteed they'll move him, and they'll probably go to Winston. Because it's right around their bye week too.
They needed to do that like 3 weeks ago.
Well, I mean, I don't dispute that, but there's got to be a lot of pressure from the ownership there to keep playing Watson.
Well, yeah, when you gave him that much money and took that much PR crap, I mean, it's ridiculous. But
it is.
But on to Colts and Jaguars. Every single team has a kryptonite. We could never win in Seattle for the longest time. The Jets could never beat the Patriots for the longest time. So too do the Colts never win in Jacksonville. This capped off 10 years in a row that they lost the road game in Jacksonville. Even if the Jags end up 1-16, they will be able to savor this one win.
Are you serious? 10 years in a row?
10 in a row. They do not win in Jacksonville. I don't know why. They just don't.
Why didn't you lead with that fact when we were making our parlay last week? I would have 100% let you put that in the parlay if you'd have told me that.
Well, I thought, but I was glad we didn't, because Taylor and Richardson were out. And I was like, okay, well, Taylor more than Richardson, but like Taylor out. Nope, no chance.
I would have 100% put that in the parlay. Oh my gosh!
For a Jacksonville win, yeah, we could have, but
yeah, I would have taken Jacksonville on that kind of a streak. Oh my god, that's one of the craziest stats I've ever heard. Well, anyways, I mean, Jaguars get a win. Team's still not any good. I don't really care that they beat the Colts. The Colts, unlike the Buccaneers and Falcons and Bengals, who we said were probably pretty good teams, but are just pretty average, the Jaguars are a below average, pretty okay team. So they're going to beat teams that are a little bit better, but a little bit worse sometimes. And so the Colts are very inconsistent as well, and it just ends up being their lucky day.
I'll move on after this last comment. The Colts figured out too late that Alec Pierce was beating their defense. They found out way too late. They did hit him with 2 bombs in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it was too little too late.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why. I mean, like, that's Flacco's thing, too. Like, I don't know why he wasn't just, like, chucking bombs, like, all game long, it appears, to be honest.
Oh, no. The Jaguars looked like they had a good defense all along, the way that they were just beating up Joe. Like, it was still close, but this was the game I was probably watching the most intently. But truth be told, but yeah, no, just too little, too late, and yeah, 10 road losses in a row to Jacksonville.
That's
pretty impressive. On to Bills at the Texans, a true battle to the death. Both defenses came out for blood. In the end, the Texans came out on top, but Josh did not go down without a fight. The Texans are winning ugly games, and that's going to mean something in January.
The Texans remind me of the Minnesota Vikings from whatever it was, like 1 or 2 years ago, where they won all those like last second 1-score games and went like 12-4 or whatever and had this amazing record. And
it was like 14-0 in 1-score games.
Yeah, it was just something stupid. That's what the Texans remind me of this year. I really thought the Texans were going to be a lot better than what they are. And I mean, they're 4-1. So don't get me wrong. They clearly are a good team, but they're just not, they didn't make that leap. And I know we talked about, that Mixon might be the reason why they haven't made that leap recently, but they haven't made that leap quite yet. And where they are right now, they're good enough, and they're certainly going to make the playoffs, and they're good enough to maybe win a game, maybe 2 games in the playoffs, but they're not beating the Ravens in the playoffs. They're not beating the Chiefs in the playoffs. They might not beat the Bills in the playoffs again.
An ominous prediction, perhaps. Now we have Raiders at the Broncos. The Broncos really have a better record than the 49ers? Really? Are the Broncos actually good? Don't get too high off this win. Still have a long way to go. As for the Raiders, you might have to start your own Suck for Sanders campaign at this rate.
Yeah, the Raiders, well, I mean, don't have a quarterback. We knew this at the beginning of the season. We did our little thing where we ranked the 5 worst quarterbacks in the league. I don't remember how we got to that game, but we did that, and we had the Raiders in the mix there as having one of the worst quarterback rooms in the NFL, and it's proven itself out now. There's just no consistency there. Yeah, they're putting up 15, 20 points a game, whatever. But, I mean, we've seen that, any terrible quarterback can get lucky and kind of do that on a week-to-week basis at this point in time. They're just not good. They're just not consistent enough. Their defense is average and getting put out there for a lot of opportunities and on the field for a long period of time, and it's just not working. And I don't think the Broncos are any good, but they're coached well, and that's always going to be a benefit for them.
Low-key, the Broncos defense is actually pretty good. Like the
Yeah.
Raiders seem like they're just starting to check out now. Like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have campaigned for the special teams coordinator to be head coach. I don't know. Maybe that's oversimplifying it, but I credit to the Broncos. That defense is actually pretty good. So if Bo Nix can just not screw up,
Yeah.
like he doesn't have to be Superman when you're the low man on the totem pole as a quarterback. Just don't turn the ball over, and that should be enough. Maybe, but no. I mean, Sean Payton. It took a little bit to start up, but it looks like the Broncos might actually be contenders in a couple of their games. Like they might give some people a run for their money that don't or that sleep on them.
Yeah. Makes them very hard to bet for or against.
Oh yeah, 100%. So on to the Packers at the LA Rams. Give credit to the Rams. They are also trying their damnedest to not go silently into that night. They gave the Packers a scare, but in the end, alas, the Packers stay in the hunt in a now very busy NFC North while hospice is called for the LA Rams. Their season's basically over.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate for the Rams. We've talked about it a couple of times. Stafford doesn't have anybody to throw to. He's throwing to 3s and 4s, which he's doing his best to make look good because he's he's probably not technically a Hall of Famer guy, but he's a Hall pretty good guy.
Hall of pretty good.
Well, I mean, he's not a Hall of Famer, so what's next after that? Like really awesome? I mean, like I don't know. He's something.
Sorry, that was really funny.
But I mean, they just don't have enough to stay with teams that are actually, to use the phrase again, pretty good. And the Packers are pretty good. I don't know if they are really above that same tier that I put the Buccaneers and Falcons and the Bengals in. I don't know that they're in that same tier or above it, maybe, but they're pretty decent, and we'll see over the next couple of weeks how they do, especially as Love gets warmed up again, since he really only had the one game and then kind of came back after injury.
That's my exact sentiments. Like we just gotta see Love get a little bit more warmed up. Let's see how he looks in November before really passing judgment on the Packers, since they did kind of trip out of the gate. So Giants at the Seahawks. All I have to say on this game is thank you, G-Men. Thank you for putting the Hawks in the same awful boat that we are in heading towards Thursday Night Football together. I don't know if this says more about the G-Men actually having talent or if the Hawks just got really lucky in September and that luck's finally ran out. But like all these guys, it's still really early in the season, and we'll find out sooner than later. But thank you, G-Man. I really appreciate the win.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants winning this game sets up a big game for us on Thursday night now. It's going to be for complete total control of first place in the NFC West. So it turns something that was not too big of a contest, but so important into a huge game with big playoff implications right here in week 6 of the NFL season. So Seahawks, I don't know. We can talk about them as we get into the next show that we do, but I'm not really sold on them. I don't know how this Giants team still has 2 wins already this season. I mean, their defense has kind of bailed them out on both of those because Daniel Jones is just so ungodly horrible.
The Thibodeau and Burns combo is legit. They are
Yeah.
awesome. They are awesome pass rushers. The little bit I've seen of the Giants, that Burns signing was a godsend for them. That defensive line is actually pretty good.
Yeah. But the rest of the team is so bad.
That one scrappy receiver they have, number 17, I really like him. Because I remember watching quite a bit of the Giants game last week in prime time. And against the Cowboys, like, that dude had like 12 catches. Like, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd have to look up his name. But anyway.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, just moving on to the next game. I'll look at that Giants receiver later, but I do low-key like him. The final game that started an hour late, Cowboys at the Steelers. The Cowboys are going to BS their way into the 500 club again, and the Steelers see that they can't win every game on the back of just their defense. Tomlin was blessed by God, so this season's still going to end up 9-8 for him anyway. And honestly, I just can't wait for the next Cowboys walloping because it's going to come sooner than later. This was an ugly win, but I am not optimistic for what the Cowboys' final season total is going to be the way they play.
Yeah, I think it's interesting about both teams. I think it shows that the Cowboys are still a pretty good team because I think that the Steelers team, by virtue of, still being close in this game, even though they lost, shows that they're also a pretty good team. I mean, the Cowboys get crapped on a lot, but their offense is really legit. And so for the Steelers to hold them to just 20 points and be able to stick around and make it a 2017 game, I really think that the Steelers team, again, they're not winning the Super Bowl, but could they get to the playoffs and maybe win a playoff game? I don't know. I think they're sneaky kind of good.
Mike Tomlin's making a case for Coach of the Year. I'll give you that.
The guy from Minnesota is going to win it, of course. Right now, obviously, but yeah, right? If Tomlin goes, what's realistic? What, 11-6, 12-5?
If Tomlin gets 11 or 12 wins out of this team, we'll just have to see where the Vikings are because Kevin O'Connell's going to get his second Coach of the Year award right now. But Tomlin is sure making a case for runner-up the way that these Steelers are playing.
Yeah, I would think so.
Like a tenured coach too. Like Belichick only won Coach of the Year once or twice, and I don't think John's won it at all. But no, Tomlin definitely. It's unfortunate O'Connell's doing as good as he is because Tomlin definitely is going to take a couple votes from him.
Yeah. Can Justin Fields get comeback player of the year just for being, he didn't really come back from anything other than just being shitty, but can he get comeback player of the year award for that?
He could. I don't see why not personally.
If he led the Steelers to the playoffs, right? I guess he'll have to put up decent numbers, but
if he can upset the Ravens and get the NFC North, maybe.
Ooh, when did the Steelers? I'm gonna look up when the Steelers play the Ravens. I want to see that game now.
Oh, one of them's prime time. There's no way one of them is not Sunday Night Football.
Oh, I would think so. Oh, see, Steelers play look here. Steelers got Raiders, Jets, Giants over the next 3 weeks. I would say they're favored in all 3 of those games, right?
Oh yeah, the defense will suffocate all those offenses. So Justin just doesn't. As long as Justin doesn't throw an interception, they should win those games.
Yeah, the Steelers could be 6-2 going into week 9 of the NFL of the regular season. That's ridiculous.
With only 7 passing touchdowns from Justin.
Well, yeah, but still, I mean, they'd be 6-2. If you would tell me the Steelers would be 6-2 halfway through the season, I'd have ate my hat.
Ugh, the NFL is just so strange sometimes.
So neither of those are prime time. Neither of their matchups to the Ravens are a primetime game, surprisingly enough. They
not
play
even a game of the week at 4:30.
Oh yeah, but not like a Sunday night game or anything like that. So
That's surprising that it's that of Monday, Thursday, and Sunday, one of those games didn't fit in one of those slots.
I know. So they got them on. They got them on October 17th at 1 p.m. and then 12/21 at 4:30.
Okay, so at least one of them will probably be the game of the week.
Yeah.
Like depending on how it shakes out, I'd be shocked if that wasn't game of the week.
Oh, I'm sure the 4:30 Fox one will be.
Right. We just have to see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
But anyway, now that
totally down the rabbit hole on that.
Oh yeah, no worries. But anyway, folks, now it's the actual Niners part of the show. And we will now examine our heartbreaking loss to the Arizona Cardinals. We blew a 10-point lead and lost 24-23, also by not scoring a single damn point in the second half. Our offense was almost entirely shut out, really, if you look at the whole game. What happened in the nerdy number section? Purdy had to have been his lowest quarterback rating since that Ravens Christmas game at 62. He had 244 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Jeez Louise. Kyler Murray had a 79 quarterback rating, only 195 passing yards, but oh, hey, it's okay when you add 83 yards on the ground and another touchdown, so that kind of balances it out. On the rushing front, Jordan Mason still did what he could. He made 89 yards out of 14 carries, along with Purdy's scramble drills. And Isaac Guerrero, he got 4.5 yards a carry on 5 carries. Yeah, 4.5 yards on his 5 carries. And then in the passing game, look at that. Instead of spreading the ball around like we usually do, Kittle with 8 receptions for 64 and a tutty. Brandon Ayuk, way to finally wake up, Brandon. Like, if there's one silver lining in this game, I said that kind of sarcastically, but 8 for 147, like, there you go. There's the $30 million receiver we paid for. Finally. And then also, Michael Wilson surprisingly led the team with Arizona. Marvin Harrison was only held to 2 catches on 7 targets for 36 yards. But again, it didn't really matter because what this game ultimately boiled down to was, one is red zone inefficiency. We have a lot to say on that, but also 2 picks from Purdy, 1 fumble from Jordan Mason. We really just. I'm scrolling that back up here for my thoughts. Man, something was not clicking today on offense. Just shooting ourselves in the foot, dropping passes, no one getting open. And you brought to my attention today, as well as David Lombardi, the great San Francisco reporter, we are 30th in red zone efficiency between 20 and the goal, and we're 31st when it's 10 and good, or the way he phrased it. When it's within 10 yards, we are 31st. Something is very, very wrong when this has to be a bigger problem than just losing Christian McCaffrey. There's no reason losing Christian McCaffrey. We should drop from admittedly first all the way to 30th. Something's not right. That's a much bigger problem than just losing Christian, in my opinion. And ultimately, like, that's the biggest problem I see with our team. We do have a tackle problem. We had that problem last year, but we're still missing a lot of tackles. So Nick Sorensen didn't fix that problem either. And we're dropping passes still. That's just a discipline problem. I'm trying not to think that the season's like wholly out of grasp, because we've been in holes like this before and still gotten to at least the NFC Championship. But good God, guys, the way that we've lost these games against the Rams, the Cardinals, 2 division opponents, by the way, that kind of makes it more annoying that these just weren't their division opponents. So these do mean a little bit more than just losing to an AFC team. So I'm not seeing anything that Purdy's doing that makes him less valuable. He still looks like a $60 million quarterback to me, but we got some fundamentals on defense and some scheming on defense we got to tighten up, and we just got to be we can't just move the ball. We got to punch it into the end zone. We can't settle for kicks, especially coming in 3 days. We're going to have a kicker that's been with the team for less than 72 hours. We have to actually punch the ball into the end zone if we want to get anywhere, because the way we're playing right now, I mean, we kind of deserve to be where we're at. And I hope this is humbling, and I hope that maybe the Seahawks game could be the actual get right game. It's very disappointing and frustrating to be where we're at right now. That's what I'm basically getting at.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, you hit on the red zone issues, and I think that's probably really the offense's biggest issue and biggest challenge right now. If I had to really think about it, is the red zone problems that they're having and the inefficiency that they're just having down there in that area. I know we've talked a lot about it and made fun of it, in the group chat that we have and stuff on Sundays. We get down there and then it just turns into a big stinky fart, right? Just there goes the opportunity.
Well, you
And,
noticed it before me or James did. So credit to you for catching it way earlier, like even like during the Vikings game.
yeah. Yeah, and thank you. And they give away so many opportunities, and we've seen now a couple of times this season that it's just come back to hurt them, because there's ample time for them to just put the other team away, and they're just not able to do it. And that lets a team like the Cardinals hang around, and that lets a team like the Rams hang around. And sometimes when you let teams hang around, when you pull out the poker hand and you're placing the cards down, you doing the river, and I don't know the terms for all that stuff, but you flip that last card out and you hit it and you lose, and that's what happens. And so it's just bad luck like that sometimes. But if you can execute in the red zone and convert more of these into touchdowns, then you've got a bigger margin for error. Defensively, we always struggle against mobile quarterbacks because everybody rushes to a spot. Everybody rushes to a point. Everybody rushes to sack the quarterback. And I mean, I get that. And I mean, I understand that that's the objective, but when you're playing a quarterback that can run like a Kyler Murray can, you have to defend that, and you have to play that a little bit differently. And we saw that in the couple of the NFC Championship games when they played against Jalen Hurts. They defended him differently. They didn't play so much to try to sack him as it was more to contain him. And they didn't do that with Kyler. And of course, look what happens. Kyler breaks off a 50-yard run, and he breaks off 33 other yards scrambling around like he did. And, a lot of those scrambles killed us during the game. And that's always been a problem. That's always been a pattern for us, is that we struggle against these mobile quarterbacks like that. So I'm a little frustrated that they couldn't fix that particular problem still. And then the run defense continues to be a problem. We're not slowing people down rushing the ball. If you remember, would be 2-3 years ago now, either of those defenses, one of the keys to that was we were always, number one, number two in rush defense. So, I mean, teams would try to run the ball on us, and it was just like, no way, we're not having it. And we would just slam the door on running backs. Running backs would be lucky to get, 40, 50 yards in a game against us. I remember at one point in time, we almost went the entire season and before we allowed a 100-yard rusher. So we really forced teams to be very one-dimensional and forced teams to play from behind a lot because they weren't able to run the ball. And the last two seasons, so last season and this season, we haven't been nearly as good at stopping the run, and we haven't been able to create that same amount of force and same pressure on the other teams by holding their running backs in check, and it's cost us in some games.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. Like, I mean, I noticed, noticed that Kyler, the 50-yard breakout touchdown. Like, luckily, like we somewhat kind of, not entirely, but he didn't have a jailbreak. But I mean, in a game like this, that one was really all he needed, and then he did convert a couple of first downs. But the thing that really makes me mad is that James Conner, he had 86 yards. Literally in the first half, I think it was like 9 or 10 yards we held him to. And it was something about, I don't know if I, not actually being there, I don't know. I trust that it was unseasonably hot there. And I can kind of get behind the, well, James Conner just didn't slow down and he saw some weakness in us, like trying, they just 19 carries and just, you know what, like that defense is going to break eventually in this heat. Sure, I can subscribe to that, I guess, but man, it really let us down in the second half. Like, I get it, but at the same time, if really like the heat was like that bad and we didn't figure out an adjustment, or or just couldn't figure out an adjustment, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to. I do and I don't want to rag on these guys so bad because it was night and day. We held James Conner to nothing, and then he just steamrolled us all on his own in the second half. Like, it was just when it's that starkly different, that's when I want to get a little mad at that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just they were just turning around and hand it to him, and he would go and rumble through it wasn't even creative. They're not even creative runs. Their rushing game is terrible. It's all just inside draws.
It's like what we do with Mason, like just punch you in the throat and like dare you to stop us. And James Conner, the only difference is that James Conner probably has like 50 pounds on Mason.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he was just like plunging into the middle and just like going for like 5 or 6 yards every carry. And it was just like, ugh, this is ridiculous.
No, it was bad. I have some thoughts on the offense. I'd like to take it back to the offense because I mean, really, the run deep, I don't know. Our secondary did look a little bit better, but like I said, it was just bad. It was just negated by how bad the front seven was. Something I've noticed though, that I kind of don't want to let go of in the passing game, it just doesn't. 2 weeks in a row, it seems like we've just been leaning on bombs. Like it doesn't feel like we can. It doesn't feel like Kyle thinks that we can just chip away at the middle anymore. Like nothing's real. Unless you saw something different. I didn't see that many play actions. I just saw dropbacks and just Purdy hoping that he can let it rip, and either he's hesitating or it really is not open down the field. And it feels like we're just trying to air raid people way more than we used to.
There weren't a lot of play actions. You were right about that. I guess thinking about it, yeah, you're right. I mean, and I know the numbers, if you think about it, I know it's like depth of target and stuff like that is like 1 or 2 in the league and all that stuff.
Or maybe the plays are still going over the middle, but he's waiting for him to clear the middle instead of like hitting him in the middle, maybe? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're definitely pushing the ball a lot more. I mean, there's been times where I know I'm yelling at the TV where I see a guy who I think is open underneath. Maybe he's not, but he looks open to me, and I'm like, why didn't you throw it to the underneath guy when he's launching it, to a guy near the sidelines or deep down the middle or something like that? And it's like, why didn't you just take the quick, 5 yards instead of pushing for 15?
Like this is not common for Purdy from last year. This completion percentage and that many pass attempts, that is not common from Purdy last year.
Oh yeah, totally agree. So,
like, yeah, we're missing Christian McCaffrey, but like, we still got a great running back in that. And then he's only getting targeted one time. It was his only target. Like, why don't we try to scheme Mason open for like a dump off? Like, because I think Mason's literally been targeted in the passing game probably 6 times, like maybe once or twice a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they don't throw it to him more. I mean, he seems like he would be capable. I mean, I don't think he's dropped one of the 6 they've thrown to him or whatever. So I don't know. But I mean, Debo only got 1 target too. So there you go.
Yeah, Debo must have given something to Brandon to like, because we were leaning on Debo, and now at least today that it flip flopped. Like, I'm glad we didn't see Debo get 3 catches on 9 targets, like he has been, but
Yeah.
no, like, and then Juwan was just completely. He had literally 1 good catch for 13 yards when Brady said, "Oh, that's the best nickname I heard this week was Third and Juwan," and that was literally the only catch he had in the game on 4 targets. Like,
Yeah, well, he looked like he hurt his hand, so I don't know if his hand was really bothering him and not letting him catch the ball going forward or not. I did want to touch on something you mentioned earlier about Ayuk playing well. It really was great to see Brandon play good in this game and live up to that contract that we just gave him. I mean, 147 yards, that's a lot of yards. I mean, I don't necessarily expect him to put up 147 each week, but the 8
yeah,
receptions.
that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, but the 8 receptions, I mean, 7, 8 receptions a game. I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking to see, and I'd expect there to be, probably 90 yards attached to that, maybe, or something like that. I mean, something around there. And that's what I'm looking to have out of my number one guy every week. And I still think he can do that. He's clearly got it in him by the results of this particular game here. And now we just have to hope that, going into this big battle of games that we have coming up, that he's finally shook out of his kind of, 4-game funk here to start the season.
I am not knowledged enough, of course. We're just amateur whatever fans, but like, I'm just, and sure, call it bias because we're Niners fans, but like, I'm looking at all these, and this needs to get a little bit more spread out. Like, because I was trying to compliment the team before on like games where it was like 4-3-4, 4-3-3. Like, with this many weapons, it shouldn't be 1-1 and then target hogging Kittle and Ayuk. Like, this is just insane. And let's get Mason in the passing game. Like, if we want a true, he sure runs like CMC, so let's see if he catches like CMC. See what he does in open space instead of just run up the middle.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, maybe the clock's ticked for Debo too. Like, I don't 1 catch for 11 yards and 3 carries for 9 yards. Like, I don't know, maybe it was a bad Sunday and maybe I'm ragging too hard on him, but like, Debo hasn't had a breakout game this year yet either, and we're on the eve of 6 weeks in. Like, when's his breakout game going to finally happen?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. You gotta remember though. I mean, Debo didn't really catch fire until about week 12, maybe week 13 of the end of last season, and then he finally caught fire then too. I mean, prior to that, we were on the podcast talking about where's he at and when's he gonna start playing up to his money, and then he finally started listening to the pod and took it upon himself to heed our words and start playing a little bit better. But it wasn't until week 12 or 13 last season that he started doing anything.
Well, it'd be nice if like we got 3 days or 2 days really from when people are listening to this until we play the Seahawks, and just, I don't know, it feels like a really daunting task now that we've lost to the Cardinals. And just God damn it, why, I'm gonna take this down. Just, why did God take away our kicker, the guy that we've been cheering and talking about, like, because Moody's been a point of talk for a lot of episodes dating back to last year, and now we're probably not going to be talking about Moody for at least a month. And I didn't see yet, as of this taping, they said they had at least 3 kickers locked in for trying out, but they didn't have the names yet, though. Did you happen to see the names of who the Moody replacement might be?
Nope.
I'm checking good old David now to see if he does not have it either, which means probably Matt, and which probably means Matt and everyone else don't have them yet either. But yeah, we're gonna have a kicker on 70. We're gonna have a kicker really on 48 hours notice. Going into Seattle, like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Poor Moody. I don't know. I'm not trying to belabor it, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Right after a block kick touchdown, on the ensuing return, he sprains his ankle. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of that weird philosophy about whether or not you should even have quarterbacks and kickers even tackle people anyways, because they're so critical and important because of the position that they play. Not necessarily, I'm not in any way shape or form trying to say a quarterback and a kicker are equal. My God, don't let me do that. But you get the idea in terms of just the exclusivity of their role. So, some people would just say that the kicker should just kind of like, maybe do one of these at him. And if you can shove him, fine, but don't fling your body at him in any way, shape, or form.
We'll do what Brandon Aubrey did. The one play of the game I saw, well, from the highlights, I should say, when Brandon Aubrey's kick got blocked on the Cowboys, he definitely was not trying to get into that dog pile. You saw him flinch, and then he was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, because there have been, plenty of times on like a pick six, the quarterback throws it, whatever, and it goes out there. They come streaking back down that side, and then the quarterback's just like, I'm good.
Or you do what Will Levis does and like Home Alone.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's plenty of times the quarterback, because there's always one or two big boys coming down with them on that return, and quarterback don't want any part of getting blasted out there. I mean, they even put in a bunch of rules that you can't hit, defenseless players and players that aren't trying to actively engage in the tackle and stuff like that, because people used to just be heat-seeking missiles for the quarterback as soon as there was a pick six. So, it kind of fits in that whole thing.
Yeah, it just I already used tough pill to swallow for the Vikings, but this is just another one, and hopefully, I still remember just that 21 season, like that 21 season, just for many reasons I've said many times on mic already, just will forever be a special season to me, even though we didn't get to the Super Bowl. But we had no, I'll never forget when I said it to James the first time, we had no right to be in that NFC Championship game. We were dead to rights at the start of the season, and we found a way to turn it around. Like, and hopefully, Kyle can pull that magic again and just be like an old beater truck, and we can start the engine and finally get going. But it sucks being here right now, and all we can do is hope. But seeing that we've done it multiple times, like, I don't want to get high on that hopium, so to say, but at the same time, at the same time, it's like we're not dead yet. I don't want to be the alarmist quite yet, but they're really, really getting me close to being there. Especially if things go south in Seattle in 3 days.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's almost ridiculous to say it's a must-win game in week 6, right? But this is a must-win game for the 49ers this week.
That's fair. That's very fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, the winner controls the NFC West and has the game up in a tiebreaker scenario. I mean, it has so many implications right now in a division where it looks like those two are clearly going to be the two battling out for a playoff spot, and probably within a game or two of each other for the remainder of the season. So big implications for a week 6 game. So
I'm gonna be sweating bullets. I'm gonna be a wreck through that whole game. Like, unless we run away with it, like, I'm gonna be just so nervous.
Well, I don't think we're gonna run away with it. So I mean, I'm very nervous about the game too. I don't know which 49er team is going to show up. I mean, we're quickly turning into, I said that about the Broncos, right? That you couldn't bet on them because you didn't know if they were going to be good or bad either week. The 49ers are quickly becoming that, right? Like, it's been 5 games through the season, and outside of the one game versus the Patriots, where I was pretty darn confident that they were going to win, I wouldn't tell you that this 49ers team is going to beat everyone that they've played so far this season. I mean, I wasn't 100% sure they were going to beat the Jets. Wasn't 100% sure that they were going to beat the Vikings. They didn't, right? Wasn't for sure that they were going to beat the Rams. I mean, it's just been, I don't know on a week-to-week basis if they're good or bad. Last year, I knew they were good. I knew they were good every week. Now, sometimes they didn't show up. Sometimes they had a bad game. That happens. But I knew they were good. This year, I don't know if they're good. Like I said in the group chat, we beat the Jets and we beat the Patriots. If I saw any other team, you asked me to do some analysis of any other team out here in the NFL, and I saw that their only 2 wins were against the Jets and the Patriots, and they had lost to the Rams, the Vikings, and the Cardinals, I would tell you that that team was no good.
Yeah. No, we're very lucky to have a history and precedence behind us. Like, we're the reigning NFC champions. We're Kyle Shanahan. We've gotten to at least the NFC championship for the last 5 years. Like, because no, if we didn't have that, you would be right to look at us and be like, oh Jesus, what happened to you guys? You guys kind of suck this year. Like, so we get the benefit of that, and we get a little bit of not recency bias, but like super fandom bias too. Like, as we do every week, we talk your ear off about like all the guys we paid and yada yada. But yeah, just I guess to put a pin on it, we do gotta get out of here. It's very, 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 very nervous about this game before our mini bye week, because this is going to put us in either a really bad hole and we'll circle this as the game that put us in that really bad hole, or God, we can finally relax and have a mini bye before the 2 games that Chiefs and the Cowboys, and then we get a real bye, and like we'll feel a lot better going into Kansas City if we can pull this one out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a loss going into Kansas City, and everything is going to be on death watch going into Kansas City. A win going into Kansas City, and a decisive win, if we can somehow do that, people are going to be back on the bandwagon. People are going to be amped up for the Kansas City game. People won't necessarily think that we're the favorite to win, but people will believe that we could win if we play our game.
Oh, for sure. That's what I mean. If Seattle can be that get right game, or if we can get through it, and then, but we're playing a fortune teller now. But
Yeah.
anyway, we do got to get out of here, guys.
You know what fortune I see, Dan? I see a fortune where people buy T-shirts.
Yes, there you go. Buying
and memorabilia.
Buying specifically from our sponsor,
Yeah.
RoyalRetros.com. There we go. Good tie-in, sir. What is RoyalRetros.com? What are we talking about? It's your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey, whether it's football, like presumably you're a football fan listening, or basketball, baseball. Playoffs are happening right now in baseball. All the major sports are covered at RoyalRetros.com. And go check out the Candlestick collection for us Bay Area fans. It's curated with us in mind. And when you find something that you like, use the promo code Shady Sports and get yourself 10% off of your entire order. Again, it's promo code Shady Sports for 10% off of your order at RoyalRetros.com. It helps us out. It helps Sam and Shady Sports out. Promo code Shady Sports for 10% off your order at RoyalRetros.com. Go get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. Also, we are selling T-shirts, but not for ourselves. We're selling T-shirts for charity. We were inspired going on 2 years ago by the antics of Mr. Dan Snyder among all the other leadership of the NFL for a lack of accountability when compared to players. We all knew about Tyreek Hill, and we all knew about Mr. Julius Peppers today, or Peppers. I'm spacing on his first name, so I don't. Peppers on the Patriots. I knew about him first thing when I woke up this morning and his little problem. So, but the owners can sweep their things under the rug, and we find out many weeks or months after the fact. So we think that's ridiculous. That's outrageous. So we have started a hashtag owner accountability, owner standards over player standards, hashtag owner accountability. And what we're doing for the shirts, like I said, we are selling shirts to raise money for Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. It is a women's shelter in Kentucky doing a lot of good. And we were inspired to pick them because of what the minority owner of the Texans did. So our first shirt here is our saying owner standards over player standards, hashtag owner accountability. Lots of colors, lots of different shirt designs as well. Long sleeve, pullover hoodie, crew neck sweatshirt. That goes for all the shirts that I'm about to show you here as well. Pricing starting at $22.99, and the proceeds for all of these shirts go to Mountain Comprehensive Care Center. This one is our cover art. No matter what wonderful podcasting platform you're listening to us on, or if you're watching on YouTube at the very top and tail end of the videos, this is our cover art. Now you can rock it in a t-shirt. The alternate cover art here with the goalposts and the peanuts. James rocks the shirt all the time. It looks wonderful. It is a very high quality shirt. Again, pricing starting at $22.99. And then the last one is our mascot of a peanut eating a bowl of peanuts, wearing his Niners hat and his 3D glasses, patiently waiting, only waiting 3 days instead of 7 days for our showdown in the Emerald City, Sister City, Cincinnati, Emerald City, Seattle, right?
Sure.
Or no, Sister is Seattle and Queen is Cincinnati, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Queen City is Seattle or Cincinnati. Yeah.
Whatever. He's patiently waiting for the Cincinnati or the Seattle game. God, I got Cincinnati in my mouth.
Wash your mouth out, son. We don't talk about Cincinnati around these parts.
Oh Lord, no. And I lived there for a year. I have no reason to talk about him again. But anyway, all those shirts are on bonfire.com. The link to bonfire.com, our store there, I should say, our bonfire store is in the show notes, along with the Mountain Comprehensive Care website if you want to get some more info about them as well. So to wrap things up on some breaking news, I do feel very bad that I feel very bad I got the first name wrong, but Pepper's on the Patriots. That is a very real situation. He has some very real charges against him, and he's probably going on the commissioner's exempt list. I would rather not say on Mike what he did, so just Google Patriots Peppers, and yeah, you'll get your answer very, very fast. And then, I mean, what kind of, like I said before, we don't know what kicker is going to be replacing Moody. So at least as of this taping, I can't comment on that yet. What do you see for any late breaking news?
I didn't really see anything too drastic. The Raiders were talking about they don't know who's going to be their quarterback. Blah blah blah. Big surprise there. You don't know who your quarterback is. You don't have any quarterback.
They're going to ride AOC the rest of the year. Like, unless he gets hurt, they're going to ride AOC.
I mean, probably. Rams don't know when Cup's going to come back.
He shouldn't at this rate.
Right, yeah. And then the Browns coach is changing his tune on his play calling stance. So, we'll see who turns up out there. But play calling there isn't the problem.
Yeah, first off, no, that's not the problem. But who would call the plays instead of him? I don't know who their OC is, but I could be neither here nor there.
Dorsey.
Oh, Ken Dorsey? Okay. It's not a downgrade per se.
I mean, it's not going to fix anything.
No. Watson's the bigger problem. You're scapegoating yourself, sir. Like, maybe he's playing 4D chess and he's trying to get fired because he's just tired of dealing with this. Like,
yeah. A friend of mine and I were speculating on that today. It was like, well, they're saying that the ownership is pressuring him to keep Watson in and not let him change to Winston. And it was like, if I was him, I would just be like, you know what? We're changing quarterbacks. What you gonna do? Fire me? Okay. I guess I'll just sit at home and get paid my guaranteed money. Who cares?
Yeah, you don't when you're a coach, your contract doesn't get voided unless you commit a crime. You don't lose your contract for having a bad year.
Yeah, and I think he just got an extension. So okay, go ahead, fire me. Be dumb. See if I care.
Just why not at this rate? Why not fire your two-time? He has won it twice, right? He has won Coach of the Year twice. He's the current reigning Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Go for it. Please. Let's see what bigger dumpster fire can be made between Carolina and Cleveland. Let's I want to see this nuclear arms race to the bottom. Who will have the floor fall out first? Please. I really want to see this now.
Yeah. The NFL is really interesting this season. We've got 3 or 4 teams that are really objectively terrible. And then we have a bunch of teams that are all just 2-3 or 3-2 who we don't really know if they're really any good yet or really not any good. Sure, there might be kind of pretty good. We're just not really sure on them. And then we've got 3 teams that are actually good, like Chiefs, Ravens, Vikings. That's it.
That's the thing. Outside, I'd even argue the Vikings are the only really stellar team right now. This early into the season, and there's only one team that looks like a super stellar team. That's pretty fascinating to me, honestly.
I think the Chiefs still look really good.
I mean, yeah, that'll kick off in 30 minutes, and we'll see. He can break his own receiver's knee and still win games. I swear to God. That's just because that's what's gonna happen. I guarantee you. Like, people listening will already know and can comment like, "Hey, Dan, you were right." Like, that's just some hot crap that they pull over there.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter at all.
Right. Yeah. No, not at all.
Well, guys, we're gonna be back on Friday with our parlay picks for week 6. Or actually, let's put a pin in that, folks. We'll let you know when our next episode is because of our Thursday game.
Oh yeah.
We will convene with James and just I know I'm very bad at reaching out to you all on Twitter, but I will let you know because our schedule is wonky this week. So so let's just go ahead and just say outro music by River Road or River Road by Justin Mute. And whether we see you before or after, let's beat the Seahawks.
Yeah. Beat those sea chickens.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way you whine and cry.